Viewers, what a day today. It's a big day only because two men who recently plotted Pakistan's downfall and humiliation over 4 days in May are back. Why? To shoot down Pakistan's fake news propaganda and warn that if Pakistan hasn't learnt its lessons, it better come to its senses before it is wiped off the face of the map of the earth. Indian Army chiefs are very responsible, viewers. They're very disciplined. They're very, very restrained. They know the meaning of the army being confined to the barracks in a democracy. An army chief, General Dwivedi, is one of the best examples of restraint around. He isn't given to empty rhetoric, but realizing that Pakistan has moved its terror infrastructure to KPK and other areas away from the border to perhaps strike again, he has issued a very clear warning, a grave warning in fact, threatening total annihilation of Pakistan if it dare repeat another cross-border terror attack. Viewers, this is almost cementing the line in the sand. This is what he said, and I quote him, "India is fully prepared this time. We will not show the restraint we exhibited during Operation Sindoor 1.0. This time the action will be such that perhaps Pakistan will have to think whether it wants to exist geographically. If Pakistan wants to continue with its position in geography, it should stop its state-sponsored terrorism," unquote. Listen in, viewers.
इस बार भारत देश पूरी तैयारी के साथ है और इस बार वो संयम नहीं रखेगा जो सिंदूर 1.0 में हमने संयम रखा। इस बार हम आगे की कार्रवाई करेंगे और कुछ ऐसी कार्रवाई करेंगे कि हो सकता है पाकिस्तान को सोचना पड़े कि उसे इतिहास में भूगोल में रहना है कि नहीं रहना। अगर उसे भूगोल में अपनी जगह बनानी है तो उसके लिए उसे जो स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म जिसको हम बोलते हैं, यानी कि उसका देश जो टेररिज्म को स्पॉन्सर कर रहा है उसे रोकना पड़ेगा। तो आप अपनी पूरी तैयारी करके रखिए और अगर परवरदिगार चाहेंगे, भगवान चाहेंगे, भाई गुरु चाहेंगे तो बहुत जल्दी ही आपको मौका मिलेगा। उसके लिए ऑल द बेस्ट। जय हिंद।
Yes, viewers, he was speaking to his units, but that doesn't mean, viewers, that he was being rhetorical. As I said, Indian Army commanders are extremely reticent to talk or say things out of line. Earlier, Air Chief AP Singh put out a fact check to set the record straight as Pakistan tried to suggest that it had won the 4-day war. Air Marshal Singh detailing the neutralization of radars, hangars, Chinese fighter jets including S-5s, F-16s and a long-range strike over 300 kilometers. We'll listen in to the Air Chief.
Large number of their airfields, and we struck a large number of their installations, and what we have gathered from whatever int reports we have got is that on ground, because of our strikes, there have been radars at least 4 places, command and control centers at 2 places, runway, of course, damaged at 2 places. Then 3 of their hangars in 3 different stations have been damaged. And in that hangar, as well as on tarmac, we have signs of one C-130 class of aircraft, one AEW&C class of aircraft, and at least 4 to 5 fighter aircraft, most likely F-16, because that base happened to be F-16, which would have been under maintenance that time. Along with that, one SAM system, which has been destroyed. And so these are the strikes that, the destruction that has taken place on ground by our strikes.
Now, viewers, ordinarily Pakistan is given to reacting, and it has, but viewers, it wasn't first to react. It was various elements in the Congress party that chipped in to undermine the efficacy of these operations and, of course, the intent being demonstrated by the Indian Army. So Congress elements, viewers, that reacted first, as if they were being addressed. Now, any sensible opposition party, viewers, would have asked some sensible questions. Like, for example, did Operation Sindoor not establish an effective deterrence over Pakistan that we now need to think of Operation Sindoor 2.0? Or perhaps even the more meaningful one, should India adopt a preemptive doctrine in dealing with Pakistan? That is, before something happens, we strike. And those would be sensible questions, viewers, that would elicit a deeper, meaningful debate. But viewers, that wasn't the case. And not for the first time. The Congress party goes out there and challenges the Indian military establishment over what damage it inflicted upon Pakistan. This is what one of their top leaders said. Look here, time and again, these people feel the need to explain themselves to the people of India. This proves that there is some gadbad, something wrong. The CDS says one thing, the air and army chiefs say quite another. This clearly proves that things aren't adding up. Something is fishy, unquote. Listen in, viewers, once to Ajay Rai. Okay, I don't think we have his reaction, but this is what he says. Now, Ajay Rai's claim that things aren't adding up reflects a dangerous trend of sowing doubt at a moment when Pakistan is aggressively projecting fake victories from the 4-day conflict. Just recently in the UNGA, Shehbaz Sharif talked about some fictional narrative, viewers. Recall that during the first phase of Operation Sindoor, Congress repeatedly questioned the precision of strikes, questioning both intent and impact. Today, the party continues to throw India's valor into the dustbin of a petty politics. Let's open this up to questions, viewers. I can begin first by getting into the tu-tu meh-meh, as they say, between those that defend the government's point of view and those that want to ask puerile questions. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get a little bit of an assessment first from General Asthana, the experts here, and get a sense really of what the army chief is trying to say. General Bakshi is also here with us. Both are scholars. General Bakshi, let me begin with you first, if you can hear me clearly. General Saab, the fact of the matter is that General Dwivedi has come out and made some statements. Now, the Indian armed forces are very restrained, as I've begun in this program, very disciplined, not given to empty rhetoric or empty words. What exactly is he trying to tell Pakistan? Why does he feel the need to send this warning to Pakistan? And does this suggest that perhaps Operation Sindoor did not establish an effective deterrent on Pakistan?
Rahul, let me be very forthright. The situation that we are facing is worse than the situation that we were up against in 1971. You know, Richard Nixon had fallen in love with Yahya Khan, who had midwifed the détente between America and China.
Yes.
Richard Nixon had leaned towards Pakistan. And at that stage, the threat was at the peak level against India. But India hit out boldly, and we restructured the subcontinental security in a decisive manner. Rahul, the simple fact is, today, that security restructuring has been undone. Today, we are not in a 2.5 front situation. We are now in a 3.5 front situation. China to the north, Pakistan to the west, and a pesky Bangladesh, ingrateful nation, where the CIA, with the help of the ISI and the Jamaat-e-Islami, have staged a colored revolution which has brought forth the Razakars, those who supplied women to the Pakistan army in 1971, are back in power. The Chinese were trying to surround us by a string of pearls. The Americans have created a string of fire. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, now Ladakh. They are trying to set our periphery on fire. The simple fact is Rahul, do you want to wait to be hit?
Yes.
Or do you want to be proactive?
Yes.
If you are not proactive, I'm afraid we could be in trouble as a civilization. No wonder the army chief has said what he has said. He's an infantry soldier from J&K Rifles, from my regiment. He served the bulk of his career in Northern Command. He knows what he's talking about. And he has given a clear warning that last time we were restrained in Operation Sindoor. We had set ourselves very limited objectives. When we felt they were achieved, we called it off. And that has given the Pakistanis a chance to dance around, saying that they won the war, they won the war. Utter crap, utter poppycock. And now that Mullah Asim Munir has become trader-in-chief instead of the army chief,
Yeah.
he has become trader-in-chief, stopped wearing his uniform. Thrice in 3 months, he has been in Washington.
Yes.
There
with his hair
is
gelled
something
back
cooking.
and
The Saudi
offering-
Arabia-Pakistan pact.
Yeah,
There is
absolutely.
something cooking. Do
Like
you want
some-
to sit down like ninnies
Yeah.
and take it in your chin, or like in 71, you must be proactive? That is what the army chief, the air chief have said. And let me just conclude, Rahul. Let me just conclude.
Please.
The simple fact is, in 71 we achieved decisive results. Then it was said that we can't achieve decisive results because of the nuclear backdrop. What has Operation Sindoor shown you? That we can achieve decisive results despite the nuclear backdrop, because we have found out a way to neuter the nuclear backdrop. Israel showed the way with the Iron Dome. The Americans are trying to make the Golden Dome. That means the arsenals of small nuclear powers like North Korea, like Iran, like Pakistan can be totally neutered, and you can achieve decisive results.
Right.
Decisive results is what the army chief and the air chief are talking about.
Now,
I think Mullah Munir might stop his salesmanship and traveling and focus on home. Otherwise, he is heading for serious trouble.
so this is
And
not empty rhetoric, and
Donald
I have to
Trump,
say,
for one, won't be able to save him.
well, General, I have to
Richard
say
Nixon wasn't able to save Yahya Khan.
that's true.
Nor will
and,
Donald
and
Trump.
General Bakshi, I have to say that you were one of the first who said that there were options even under the nuclear overhang, and India could actually even salami slice Pakistan. You had said this very clearly in the years earlier, and people were mocking you and calling you all sorts of other names. But I think you have shown that you have a very clear understanding of military strategy, and congratulations to you, sir, because people like you obviously exist in the Indian Armed Forces, and they did what was clearly, viewers, a absolute morale-shattering operation on our neighbor, Pakistan, viewers. Now, General Astana, I want to bring you into this. Look, I have to ask you this question. Why haven't we been able to establish effective deterrence against Pakistan? And I also want to tell viewers that very soon we're going to be joined by Tom Cooper, who is a military historian and analyst. He's going to give us whether we can actually go ahead and wipe Pakistan off the face of the earth, as the General is saying. But I want to bring you in, General Astana, and ask you, why do we feel the need now to threaten Pakistan again? Should they not be deterred enough?
See, if you have to look at these statements, and if I have to analyze the statements and take away the points which actually meant from the statements, see, Army Chief's statement to say that erasing from map actually highlights that next time there will be no restraints. In Sindoor 1, we did not use our navy to the potential which we had. We postured it, but we didn't use it that much. So therefore, next time the situation can be different. So he has actually indicated that there will be no restraint next time should Pakistan decide to do any misadventure. As far as Air Chief is concerned, he is giving a reality check to Pakistan that enough of your propaganda, enough of your nonsense of trying to tell the rest of the world, here are the facts, and those facts have been fact-checked, and they have supporting videos and all kinds of proofs against that as well. Defense Minister's statement is also important in this context, which when he said that a route goes to Karachi from Sir Creek, he is also giving a message to Pakistan that don't have this build-up along Sirpli, because the vulnerability of Karachi you have not seen so far, but there is tremendous amount of vulnerability of Karachi. So these are the three messages which are very clear and why they are relevant. See, there are certain internal situations. We find that Pakistan's was allocating funds for the reconstruction of terror camps. They were also raising funds. At the same time, we also found evidences that they are trying to shift these terror camps to KP, hoping that perhaps it can strain relation between India and Taliban. Also, there was regular attrition by TTP and BLA of Pakistan military, and invariably it has, and there are protests in POJK. Invariably, it has been seen that whenever Pakistan military is under such pressure, they do something to divert attention.
Right.
And therefore, these statements become very relevant to curb that tendency to divert attention, and that diversion of attention should not be on Indian soil or towards India. This also, the second part is the external factors. Now, the geopolitics of FPAC region and Middle East, or as we call it as West Asia, has also turned in a manner that Pakistan has got some kind of sense of false boldness and some kind of morale boosting in a manner that they are all of a sudden their reliance, newfound reliance for USA has increased, and some newfound reliance has increased for Saudi Arabia because Israel did something awkward in Qatar, and also there was an exchange between America and Iran. So for both options,
So because they think literally they have the Saudi Arabians and the Americans, the two A's, apart from, of course, the other big one, in their camp. They believe that, yes, we can neutralize any threat from India and we can now begin to once again go back to normal and business as usual and flex muscle. Okay, these are very important points. I just want to open this up. Dr. Ranganathan, let me bring you into
just
this.
Give me one last second.
Yes,
Just one last point.
Yeah.
So therefore, but what Pakistan must remember is that even in 1971, Americans were on their side.
Yes.
China was neutral.
That's right.
Saudi Arabia was also on their side, and we managed. Today, India of today is much stronger. I think that is again a false belief. Back to you.
That's a very important point, viewers. So it can be done. We'll get in with Tom Cooper in just a few moments and understand how it can be done. But Dr. Ranganathan, I want to bring you in just a little bit under the threshold of the expertise. I just want to bring you in into a little bit of the politics. How do you see this constant casting doubt on the efficacy of Operation Sindoor? Where is the Congress party coming from? Who is it speaking to? Is it an Indian audience? What's going on here?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I speak, as you correctly said, I speak purely as a layman and a concerned citizen. There already are two exalted
there are two generals. You can be the generalist. Okay.
Yes. And it is an honor to share the panel with them. Look, you asked me a pointed question as to why is the Congress doing this? And the simple answer is that what Operation Sindoor has accomplished, other than the military objectives, is the fact that it has accomplished showing Congress the mirror. And the Congress has been shamed into accepting its incompetence and indecisions of the past. Because the four objectives, as I see, of Operation Sindoor, that were, as I see as a common man, all those four objectives, the Congress had decades to accomplish each one of those four. And yet, out of cowardice or incompetence, it didn't do it. And now, because Modi has done it, our armed forces have done it, it feels shamed into accepting. And hence, this guilt has come out and its opposition to it. Let me go one by one very briefly. What were the four objectives that were fulfilled by our armed forces and Modi? One, keeping the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. The most diabolical, lopsided treaty that gave away 80% of our water and kept millions of our farmers in abject penury for 60 years was signed by the Congress. Congress had decades to abrogate this water treaty, even after wars and the most dreaded terror attacks, and it didn't do it. And when Modi did it, it is shamed into accepting that, yes, we signed that treaty and we continued with that treaty. What was the second objective? The second was that we will bring up our infrastructure, to the extent, as the good general said, that whatever the case may be, whatever the threats may be, we would be able to defend ourselves. And hence the air defense systems that have worked 99.56% with success rate. I talk of the Akash. What did the Congress do? The defense minister and the UP is on record saying, I am not going to shore up our infrastructure this side of the border because the enemy might use it.
Yes.
So it is shamed into accepting what Modi has achieved. It had decades to do, it's not. What were the other two objectives? Very quickly, calling the nuclear bluff. Now, it's not just me saying it. The Congress had decades to correct its policy of being scared of the nuclear bluff. Mr. Chidambaram has said it in not so many words. The air chief said it. He wanted to bomb Pakistani air targets and refused to do so because we were scared of the nuclear bluff. And finally, the fourth, that an act of terror will be an act of war. What did the Congress do? It could actually promulgate the same doctrine. But what did it do? An act of terror so terrific, so terrible as 2611, and Congress followed it up not with equating with act of war, but with giving Pakistan the most favored nation status. So why the Congress is opposing this is because it is shamed into accepting its incompetence and cowardice.
So it wants to dilute the efficacy, viewers, so that it still looks good and create doubt. That's what's happening. Let me just 1 second before I bring in the Venerable Vivek Srivastava and Dr. Sumant C. Raman, let me very quickly just move a little out of this box, political box, and bring in Tom Cooper for just a few moments. Tom Cooper, thank you at short notice for joining this program. Thank you very much. I need to ask you a couple of questions. Today, the Indian Army Chief, you might have read his statement, has said that, look, if Pakistan continues to export terror, use this policy of slicing India with 1,000 cuts, they better be prepared to face Armageddon, i.e. we will wipe you off the face of the earth. Number one, how do you view this statement? Is it empty rhetoric or is it backed by real capacity? Number one. Number two, is it possible to do so against a power that wields nuclear technology to the extent that Pakistan does? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Very nice to be with you tonight. As for your question, the first is obvious message, clear message to Pakistan to get its stuff together, because India has lost its patience and is not going to tolerate similar behavior in the future, like it did tolerate the last 20 years, more or less, 25 years. So in this regards, it's a clear message. Enough is enough if you continue the same way, because we have seen in the last few months again attempts to infiltrate the LOC and even the international border by armed men from Pakistan to India. So it was foremost the vigilance of the Indian armed forces which prevented another terror strike. And regarding the second question, yes, India can do this. After May this year, it is clear that it can do that. It can disable Pakistani capability to defend itself to the level where Pakistan's nuclear facilities are highly vulnerable to strikes of any kind, foremost to long-range missile strikes.
But two things have changed, sir, after Operation Sindoor in the recent weeks. Number one, Pakistan has signed a military pact with Saudi Arabia, which suggests that if one of them is attacked, then the other one is obliged to step in and defend, number one, just like what America has signed with Qatar. And number two, the Americans are back in the backyard, so to speak, of Pakistan. They're going to be leveraging Pakistan perhaps to make inroads into China and begin that détente with Xi Jinping. I don't know what Trump is trying to do, maybe what Nixon tried to do with Yahya Khan. But with the Americans now in Pakistan's corner, or at least balancing this factor out, and perhaps with the Saudis in a formal agreement, can India actually still exercise freedom in achieving its military objectives, or will there be problems?
Now, the first issue is what is a treaty valid? Who is standing behind that treaty, and under what conditions? Under what conditions might the partner follow that treaty? If you check, for example, Ukraine has signed comprehensive treaties with Western powers, with Russia, with European powers, and so on, with the United States, excuse me. It has even given up its nuclear weapons, Ukraine. And what kind of guarantees has it received for its own security and so on and so on back in the 1990s? What are they worth 20, 30 years later? Nothing at all. Russia invaded, and the West, well, it's good that the West didn't look the other way as Russia invaded. It did look the other way back in 2014. So treaties are very nice and fine, but the question is always who is signing them and who is going to stick to them or not. And this is left to be seen. This is where the Indian intelligence would be well advised to inform itself about what are the Saudi intentions. That is the first point. The second point is, even if the Saudis enter such a treaty with Pakistan, it is left to be seen how much are they going to support Pakistan, because Pakistan is bankrupt first and foremost, and it cannot even pay its debts to China, not to talk about United States or Western powers or Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and other Gulf states. So the question is, how is Saudi Arabia going to finance this? Are they really keen to suddenly change their strategy of the last few years and say, okay, we are going to support you financially? And excuse me, what was the last point?
About America. Now America also sort of becoming closely engaged with Pakistan once again.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me, from my point of view, I do not take Donald Trump seriously at all. I'm mostly actually ignoring his statements. Why? Because he has regularly proven itself as somebody who cannot recall what did he say 5 minutes ago. So yes, he is entering strategic alliances with this and that country, and in exchange for tariffs that are lower and whatever else, and bubbling all the time to the left and to the right, whole day in the social media and so on and so on. This character is no president as such. He's somebody making big statements, mostly in order to distract from what is he actually doing at home in other states. Arguably, there should be somebody from his family interested in mineral deals with Pakistan for some rare earths and so on. But how much of that is going to be realized, we are going to see. Just for example, if you remember back in February, March this year, there was a big topic, was this mineral treaty with Ukraine. And what happened now, 6 or 7 months later? Nothing. So, I mean, it's not like the Americans are now standing in a queue, American investments, and can't wait to start exploiting mineral wealth of Ukraine. Nothing happened. It's as simple as that. So therefore, whatever he is trying to agree or not to agree is probably just an excuse for
just to recap what you're saying. Number one,
yes.
Trump is unreliable. He doesn't remember what he said a day back. So let's not read too much significance into what he's doing with the Pakistanis. Maybe just, as I said, warming them up so he can use them to get to Xi Jinping. Number two, Saudi Arabia, well, you have to look at the fine print of that understanding. The one with Ukraine, for example, that is signed with several nations has not helped it in any way. So these treaties really are good for optics, but may not amount to much. That's a very important point. Number three, that India still has many options, viewers, under the nuclear overhang, and has been able to disable Pakistan, says Tom Cooper. Now, I want to ask you a question, Mr. Cooper. It's an important one because it keeps coming up here. That do you believe that we have not been able to establish a deterrence on Pakistan even after Operation Sindoor, because it continues to try and test our patience? Now, is it doing it without thinking because it believes that maybe India will not retaliate a second time? Or do you think it is foolish and it is tempting fate because it doesn't believe that India will go the whole way and annihilate it?
My assessment is neither of the two, which means on one side, Pakistani establishment certainly knows very well what has happened to them and how hard they have been hit in May. So that is private, so to say. This is what they are talking between each other. In Pakistan, we have this establishment that is the top of the armed forces and people supporting them in the public, officially, unofficially, and so on and so on. And then you have the civilian government, who is actually powerless, more or less. In best case, most of ministers couldn't protect even their parking lots in front of the buildings with their offices inside. So there's a huge, major difference between this. The establishment is also in control of most of the economy. And the civilians have actually next to no say. They can mostly bow and say yes, yes, please, and please the other cheek as well, and so on and so on. So the question is now, how do they assess the situation in between of them? This is something I don't know. We are going to see. But there is their public face. What are the armed forces letting the civilian government say? And in this regard, the situation is obvious. Ignore the reality. We are victorious. We have shot down not only 4 or 6, but 8 Indian aircraft, and therefore we have won this war, which is silly and cannot be taken seriously. But this is dominating the public narrative about this war. This is what the West knows at most about what happened in May. Indians tried to hit Pakistan. Pakistanis shot down 8 of their aircraft, best of the French aircraft. Everything is fine with Pakistan. The country is a superposition, and it's a nuclear superpower, and so on and so on. This is the problem. And this is where India is still lagging behind Pakistan in regards of explaining itself, its capability, and its intentions to the world outside. This is you have a huge country, you have a huge nation, you have 1.5 billion of population, and you have, excuse me for expression, but inability to explain yourself to the outside world. You know what are you doing, and it is very simple what you are doing, and it is very simple what you are facing as a nation, as India. But you have no idea how to explain this to the world in the way which is going to stick, in the way where the people are going to keep this in their ears.
Well, Tom Cooper, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for bringing depth, much needed depth into this conversation. General Bakshi also brought in some perspective, so did General Asthana. So thank you very much, the three of you. I just want to go back a little quickly to the politics here. And I'm sorry, but I have to ask Dr. Raman. Dr. Raman, one of the reasons perhaps, and I'm just postulating here, one of the reasons perhaps India has not been able to project what it has done and what it has accomplished, which is pretty unprecedented in Pakistan, is because perhaps the political class hasn't held together. There has been no unity. So people who wanted to sort of poke holes will quote Rahul Gandhi or somebody else from the Congress party, this, that, the other, and say that, listen, we didn't do much. And look, we've surrendered, and so forth. Do you believe that's the case?
No, Rahul, I want to draw on a few points which General Bakshi made and Mr. Tom Cooper made. And the point I wanted to make about, wanted to reference what Mr. Cooper said. He said it very clearly. The narrative in the West is this, that, that aircraft were lost and so on. Now, who's responsible for that narrative? I mean, you cannot pin the blame entirely on an opposition party. The government also has to take some level of responsibility for that narrative having gone out. Even now, months after the incident, we are still getting, the information coming out from the armed forces of what they actually achieved. Had this been given on day one in the manner that probably the Air Chief mentioned today, then definitely it would have helped spread the narrative quite differently from what actually materialized. The second point is what General Bakshi said. I'll just finish this point, Jim. That was right. I mean, he made that point, contrasted between 1971 and now. And what he did not mention was it was Indira Gandhi's government that actually won the day in 1971. And second, he also added, he said that from 2.5 front war, it has now become a 3.5 front. We are surrounded by so many countries inimical to India's interest. Now, again, that begs who is answerable, which General Bakshi did not mention. Who was answerable.
So let him respond to both these questions.
2.5 front,
General Saab, you heard that well, had the army and the military and others explained themselves earlier, we would not be at this pass. And secondly, why have we gone from a 2.5 to 3.5 front war? And that means that someone has messed up, but presumably they mean that Modi has messed up. General Sir.
Let me point out a few hard facts. Number one, let me assure you that as far as 71 is concerned, yes, Madam Indira Gandhi's leadership was decisive. Let there be no doubts on that particular score, right? But Madam Indira Gandhi's government was not facing a nuclear backdrop. It was a purely conventional military operation where we could push and go for decisive results in a short time frame. It was a quasi-total war, not a limited war. It was a quasi-total war, and you could go quasi-total because there was no nuclear backdrop.
Yes.
Now there has been for the last 30 years, quite obviously. And when the geopolitical chessboard around you changes, there's a paradigm shift. Look at the United States. It had cut from Pakistan and dumped it. And all of a sudden, Pakistan is back in the United States' lap. Mullah Asim Muniz had made 3 trips in 3 months to Washington, hawking his suitcase of rare earths. There is a paradigm shift in the lineup of forces. I think India has played the cards very well.
Okay.
We've had an opening towards China, a thawing of relation towards China, which has shaken up the United States. We have thawed in our relations towards Russia, China. Russia has always been a tried and tested friend. And we will have to lean on it heavily if we have to counter a Pakistan back to the hilt by the United States of America and its allies.
So
despite that, we hit them in Sindoor.
Yes.
We hit them so hard. All that I'm saying is we have to hit them much harder.
Absolutely. Okay.
Himmat
Dr.
Mard Khuda.
Ranganathan. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan wants to make a quick point and then I'll move on, viewers. Yes.
No, very quickly, I want to harp
Vivek
on
ji
this.
is also there.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take Vivek's time, but I won't be more than 30 seconds. Look, it is infuriating. It's gone beyond frustrating now. And I'm not pointing fingers at the good Dr. Raman, but things have certainly percolated down from the juvenile inquiries of the Congress and the opposition to the common citizenry as to how many Rafales did we lose, how many. It's none of our business. Our business as common citizens is to trust our military armed forces. Can you imagine if the Brits during the Blitz were asking Churchill, demanding from the RAF, how many planes have you lost? Tell us. They would never have won the World War.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that this is an age where we must, if we go into a war, either support the military armed forces or don't. What is our business of asking how many
Yeah, I mean,
planes
it's
we
like
lost?
saying that when you play, I'm just trivializing this, but when you play a cricket match with Pakistan, you should never lose even 1 wicket when you run chase and beat them. If you lose 4 wickets and you still end up winning the match, no, you should not have lost 4 wickets.
Rahul, it's beyond that.
It's
Even
beyond
if we get to know,
Yeah.
what good does it does to us?
No, it doesn't. At the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in
Why
its
did
eating.
the CDS say that?
And we saw what we saw.
Dr.
Viewers,
Ranganathan.
a complete. No, but what different does it make? I don't understand. Are we saying that we should fight wars without losing any arms and armaments? I don't understand. Anyhow.
It is not possible.
Anyhow, but that's
No
it.
country has ever
So then why
succeeded.
are we
So why
constantly
is it-
getting stuck
why
on
is
this
it-
point? And it is because we people raise this issue that foolish Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, who was a drink salesman, viewers, they just sell alcohol and sugar in their country. That's what they do. They're bootleggers, basically, are sitting in the UNGA and talking about how they won the war because they dropped some Rafales, etc., etc. That's what they're hooch sellers, viewers. Can you believe it? Hooch sellers today and snake oil sellers are today bragging. This is the problem, viewers, because we're not united at home. Now, I just want to quickly bring in the left leader, Vivek Srivastava. Vivek Srivastava, I want to ask you, why don't you ever turn around and ask the Congress party, your comrades in arms, why the Congress did not do anything after 26/11? You only want to find fault with Modi. You want to, try to upstage him despite doing what he has done, Operation Sindoor, against under a nuclear overhang, set a new benchmark. You don't ask Chidambaram. You don't ask yourselves. Why is it that we were supporting an enterprise that decided to put dialogue before direct action? He said it now, that he was told by the External Affairs Ministry establishment, don't do anything. Baatcheet karo.
You see, the Congress did a much better job. Suniye sir, the Congress did a much better job after 26/11 compared to what you have done in Operation Sindoor over here. The army did a good job. You went inside Pakistan, you bombed, you destroyed, no doubt about it. But internationally, diplomatically, Pakistan has emerged as a very strong nation today.
How are you? Give me 3 examples. What material? No, hang on. What material did Pakistan lose?
Give me 20 seconds to speak. The Pakistan has emerged much stronger. Their nationalist movement has come up. Imran Khan has been decimated. The Shehbaz Sharif who were abusing here.
Sir, there are 3 insurgencies going on in Pakistan. आप कहाँ पर हैं?
Sir, यहाँ भी लेह में लड़ाई हो रही है.
Sir, आप ऐसे कीजिए. You should roll down the windows of your car that in this Beamer that you are in. Take in some extra air so you can,
I am not allowed to speak basically.
No, you are, sir, but what points are you making? Give me 3 examples to substantiate your point.
आप 30 seconds तो सुनने का.
आप सर 40 सेकंड ले लो.
आप चाहते हुए झंडा लेके आऊं मैं बोलूं राहुल शिवशंकर जिंदाबाद. If that's what is there, I'm not going to do it. Either you give me 30 seconds and listen. Very clearly, Pakistan has emerged stronger. यूनाइटेड नेशंस के अंदर एंटी सिक्योरिटी के जितने ऑपरेशंस हैं उसका चेयरमैन या प्रेसिडेंट पाकिस्तान को बनाया गया है. They are have very good terms with the Americans, with the field marshal going over there. China is an old friend. They are not going to come your way. Try what you will. Russia had a joint military exercise with Pakistan. Okay? और वहां पे विक्ट्री को सेलिब्रेट किया गया है. और ट्रम्प साहब ने जो 30 जगह जाकर के बोला है.
So you're saying they've emerged diplomatically much stronger. Let me test that.
Absolutely.
General Astana, has Pakistan, yes, and General Bakshi, both. General Bakshi, you go first since you raised your hand. Yes, you go first and General Astana to round this up. Yes. Yeah.
And please be gentle on Vivek.
Vivek, may I kindly remind you, please listen, may I kindly remind you that Pakistan had claimed victory even after 1971 when the surrender which I saw with my own bloody eyes was taking place. 93,000 Pakistani POWs had laid down their weapons. We were in the capital city of Dhaka. A decisive campaign has 3 hallmarks: march on an enemy capital, overthrow of an enemy regime, mass surrender. All 3 facets were fully on display. And yet, Pakistan was claiming victory. Be a little careful before you go by the Pakistani narrative.
Yes.
Right? You could go seriously wrong as an analyst. Well, this is what I would like to point out to you.
But
apropos
they are blinded by
that
the
Pakistan
comfort
has
they
emerged
feel.
stronger.
They are blinded by the comfortableness they feel in Pakistan because there they get nice dum-cooked biryani. That's what it is, viewers. That's what it is. Manmohan Singh using a terrorist to deal with another terrorist. It's all out in the open now. Yes, Doctor, you are raising your hand very quickly, and General Astana last, and we move on, viewers. Very important. Yeah, 1 second.
I just hope the good General Bakshi is not as kind with our real enemies as he was with Vivek right now.
Okay, General Astana, very quickly, how do you assess what the left and others are saying that, oh, today Pakistan has emerged with a cookie in its hand?
That's not the case because let me analyze it objectively. What has happened is Pakistan's narrative was picked up by the arms dealers because F-16s got bashed up, Chinese weapons got bashed up, and there was a need for, and the moment these equipment gets bashed up, the market value goes down.
Right.
So therefore that narrative was actually picked up by the makers of F-16 and the Chinese equipment, and they were the ones who actually bought half the Western media to prosper that narrative. So it was not only Pakistan's narrative, it was the narrative of others as well.
Okay.
coming to,
We could have done it also.
No, sir,
We didn't do it.
sir, unlike
Let
you,
me-
sir, General Astana is not
we don't
used
do
to people,
I don't want
getting
to get
into
into the
scraps with
political
us. Yeah.
this thing.
We respect him. He's a military man.
I don't get into that.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I just asked him a question. Why didn't we do
Okay.
it?
Okay.
Let me just analyze my own points of view. I don't want to. I have got nothing to do with Congress, BJP, etc., etc. Now the second issue is that in the war of narrative.
Yeah.
Now you know that the Western countries for 3.5 years they continued saying that Ukraine won the war, but subsequently we know that 20% of the territory is with Russians.
That's right.
Because all the social media handles, all the media instruments are with the West.
That's right.
So whatever suits West, that narrative actually went. So it's not only the credit of Pakistan. As far as India is concerned, let me put it this way, that initially, for the first 3 nights, because I write internationally and I was there on all international channels, let me put it in no uncertain terms. Initially, they got carried away by the Pakistan narrative for the reason, because Pakistan did all the briefings at night.
That's
it is
right.
a lesson learned.
Yes.
Okay, and therefore, and that was their prime time. Our briefings actually happened 12 hours during daytime, and therefore the international media got it 12 hours late.
Well,
So
viewers,
after 3 days, I think everybody in
us-
the world was clear as to what
let us
actually
understand. Let us understand
Why did you
behind
say
the
that?
scenes the manipulation to save certain people's reputation. Remember, viewers, even today, wing commander who shot down an F-16 using a Bison, the Americans deny, even though the debris has been recovered. Why? Because their sales of that F-16 junk will be hit. So remember that, viewers.